Hitmonlee should have been the best fighting type Pokemon in Generation 1. It is the only fighting type that learns the strongest fighting move in the game, which is High Jump Kick. It starts the game with Meditate, so it already has badge boosts. However, there was a major problem with this Pokemon that held it back and basically made it complete trash in Gen 1. It probably got done dirty more than any Pokemon in this generation by the devs because it had a measly 35 base special. Now, for most Pokemon, the special stat in Gen 1 is used for their special attack and special defense. However, in the case of a Hitmonlee, this Pokemon can't use any special attacks outside of Mimic or maybe a random Metronome move, but outside of that, it's stuck using only fighting and normal type moves. So for all intents and purposes, its special stat was a special defense stat. And because it had only 35 base special, which is on par with Pokemon like Pidgey, it simply couldn't survive against anything that used special attacks in the middle game. And clearly the devs realized that they were wrong because in Gen 2 they buffed this Pokemon's special defense stat to 110, which raises the question, how would it have performed in Gen 1 if it had simply gotten a better special stat? Well, that's what we're going to test out today. We are going to compare this Hitmonlee with 110 special up against a normal Gen 1 Hitmonlee that has only 35 special. Because Hitmonlee can technically beat the game on minimum battles, I'm going to run both of these on the minimum battles setting and see how much this special stat actually impacts the final results. I'm going to predict that it's going to make a massive improvement though, given that it raises our base stat total to 420 and puts us right on par in terms of total base stats with Machamp. But how will it work out in practice? Let's find out. So once again, Professor Oak is going to walk outside of town and find a Hitmonlee, but this time it's going to be a very special Hitmonlee because it has a higher special stat than any other Hitmonlee in the game. In fact, 3 times higher than a standard Hitmonlee. Of course, he's just going to give it to us so that we can go ahead and kick his grandson's behind because he's been pushing kids out of the way all the time. It's time for him to get a little comeuppance. So as we come into this fight, we can see that we already have a really good special stat of 16 over there, reflecting the fact that we have 110 base special, but for this fight we don't need it. We simply double kick once and that is enough to take care of Eevee. But with that done, we now can progress in the game and we're going to progress on minimum battles. We are not going to take any optional trainers in this entire run because technically you can do it with a normal Hitmonlee. In fact, at this point in the game, I wouldn't expect the special stat to make any impact whatsoever because nothing uses special attacks in the Brock section. So really it's just going to come down to routing and maybe if I make any input errors, if we're slower or faster. So everything in this section is just a matter of basically randomness. If we're slower than the normal Hitmonlee or faster, it's just purely due to how much I bump into walls. So now it's time to just come into Viridian Forest where we have to fight one bug catcher with a level 10 Caterpie. Let's see how this goes. Obviously this Pokemon resists our move double kick, so we're going to set up some meditates first to deal more damage. With 3 meditates up, this looks to be a 3-hit KO, so we have to avoid a tackle there in order to get through. The Pokemon can use either String Shot or it can use Tackle, so it's a 50-50 chance of not getting hit on any given turn. So it ends up taking 3 attempts to get through that bug catcher just due to the fact that we were taking too much damage. Because we can see looking at our stats that our defense is our worst stat overall, only 11 at this point, meaning that we're going to take decent damage from a lot of opponents. With that being said, we have made it to Brock, and it's time to see if our Gen 2 Hitmonlee with really good special can somehow get through this fight. Let's try it. So Brock attempt number 1, I'm going to go for Meditate first here and then go into Double Kick. This will turn this into a 2-hit KO to knock out the Geodude and we level up to level 8. Now I'm going to just use more Meditate. Unfortunately, we got knocked out by the Onix there. Of course, if Onix uses Bide, which is the ideal, then we should be able to get something set up here. So here, once again, we get through that Geodude just the same way. He misses bind this time with Onyx and then goes bide, and that's all we needed to be able to win 4 minutes and 52 seconds in order to beat Brock. 3 resets so far, not doing too bad, but definitely not great. Still, we are progressing on minimum battles. And from here, we're again not immediately going to see much change with this Pokemon because in the next section, most opponents are still using physical moves against us. It's really not going to be until we get to Misty that we're finally going to see some sort of difference in this run. So for now, I will just keep setting up Meditate a lot in order to get through some of these poison and bug type Pokemon. Fortunately, this move is really good once you get all the Meditates set up. And for once, youngster Shorty isn't really a problem for us as we easily get through that fight. Now in Mount Moon, I will pick up the Mega Punch TM because this is going to give us a normal type move that we can actually use against Pokemon that resist our fighting type moves. So obviously that's going to help a lot against the poison types, but it's also going to be important against Misty's Starmie, which is a psychic type. So with that move in tow, I'm going to make my way straight to the Super Nerd at the end of Mount Moon. Let's see if we can beat him at our current level 12. So first things first, I'm going to set up quite a few Meditates here and then Mega Punch this Pokemon. We got a critical hit, which is not what we ever want to see when we're using Meditate, but we do knock these Pokemon out pretty darn easily, and it's even a one-hitter on the final coughing. And with that, we can progress to Jessie and James, where after just a quick heal with some potions, we are ready to go. So here against Jessie and James, I'm going to lead off yet again with several Meditates. We are faster than this Ekans, which is all we really need. Then we can simply one-shot it with a Mega Punch. Against Meowth, it goes Growl, doesn't matter. We simply one-shot it with a double kick. And then against the coughing, this is going to be a 2-hit KO, but we do manage to beat it and get to level 15. And with that, we have completed the Mount Moon section with no real issues, and we are moving on to Rival 2 and Misty. Now, of course, Rival 2 leads off with a Spearow that knows Peck, which is super effective, but the rest of his team is mostly going to be weak against our move, Double Kick. So we should be able to get through if we can just set up the Meditates. Let's go ahead and try this. So Rival number 2, attempt number 1, we're going straight into the Meditate as he growls at us, then he leers. That's not what we wanted to see, and then he gets a critical hit on us with Fury Attack, causing us to go down. Obviously, we don't want to be critical hit here. So let's try this one again. Once again, I'm going to Meditate a couple times. Peck did massive damage. Then he growls, but we do knock that Pokemon out. Against the Sandshrew, though, it's not quite enough. We need a couple Meditates to get through this. And it turns out that that fight is really not looking very good. Peck is basically destroying this Pokemon due to our low defense, so I'm going to go into Misty's gym instead, and I'm going to fight against this required junior trainer. In this fight, we're not guaranteed to get hit by Peck. Of course, if it does hit, it's going to do a lot of damage, but it could just use Tail Whip against us or miss Supersonic, and that's the ideal. So on the second attempt, we do beat that Pokemon, and what the heck, let's just try Misty one time. We have a higher special stat than normal, so it might be that we simply get through Misty much easier, even at a lower level. So Misty attempt number 1, I'm going to just spam Meditate first here, and then let's double kick on the Staryu, and it's a 1-hit KO. We get to level 16, and then Bubble Beam destroys us, but she can go for something like an X Defend or Tackle or Harden there. She's not just going to use her special moves. So second attempt, we set up a couple Meditates, and then we're barely not 1-hit KOing that first Staryu. She X defends on Starmie, but we did decent damage there. She goes Harden, and unfortunately we just couldn't get through. So unfortunately that fight still doesn't look like it's going, so instead we're going to make our way back to Rival 2 and try him again. And honestly, the best strategy might just be to go all in on Double Kick and try to knock out this Spearow as quickly as possible. Then against the Sandshrew, we're just going to repeat the same thing, more double kicks. Rattata comes out, we can one-shot it, and Eevee, we're faster, so we easily just knock it out here and get to level 17. So it's still not super consistent, it's very close there. Clearly, if we got pecked, we would just get wrecked. but it is possible to get through that fight. So now I'm just going to take all the fights going up north across Nugget Bridge before we go back and we try Misty again. Now against the Oddish Lass, we can see that Absorb isn't doing that much to us, and we can simply use a couple Meditates to guarantee that we're going to one-shot everything on this team. And just like that, we've made it to Billy Boy's house with no issues whatsoever. And we can show Hitmonlee to Billy Boy, and he's going to say, I'm going to go and fix that time machine in Gen 2 so that we can bring these proper Pokemon back to Gen 1. But with that being done, we will get the SS ticket, and we are going to run back on down to Cerulean City, where now we're at level 20. I think it's worth at least trying Misty again at this level. Let's see if we can beat her now. So up against Misty again, I'm still going to set up a couple of Meditates here, and then we're going to double kick the Staryu. That's an easy one-hitter. We get to level 21. Bubble Beam didn't do that much, and it looks to be a 2-hit KO on Starmie. And just like that, we get through in 16 minutes and 25 seconds. We have added 1 TM and taken 10 resets up to this point. This is obviously not an optimized run, but still, we're making decent progress against the Misty section without really struggling too much. Now we have to move on though and fight Rival 3, and of course, we have to take on Lieutenant Surge. And there is another important thing that we're going to have to do after that, which is get the Seismic Toss TM. That will be our only move that can actually hit ghosts when we get to Lavender Town, because Mimic and Metronome aren't available until much later in the game. For now though, we have to fight this Innocent Bystander, where I'm simply going to meditate once and just double kick on his Machop, and then against his Drowsy, we're going to go for a Mega Punch, but it disabled Mega Punch. Still, it's going to be a 2-hitter with double kick to get that Pokemon down. And with that, we can make our way down to Vermilion City. I don't think we're going to have trouble with Pidgey Girl or the guy next to Pidgey Girl, so let's get straight to Rival number 3. So against Rival 3, his Spearow for the first time has Smart AI, so it's only going to want to use Peck. However, one double kick simply knocks it out. The Rattata is obviously a joke. We can double kick on the Sandshrew. It's going to use 1 sand attack, but that's fine. And then the Eevee was never in question. It was an easy victory, and we managed to get through that fight in record time. So with that being done, it's time to go take on Lieutenant Surge. He's not technically required at this point, but I think he's going to be fine. I don't think we're going to have any major issues with him. I don't know though, maybe his Mega Punch, Mega Kick does massive damage because we have lower defense. Still, by beating him, we will get a badge boost in defense ourselves, and because we are using Meditate to badge boost at this point, it will actually be a very useful thing to have. So after a small eternity of digging through the trash cans and thinking about how trash Lieutenant Surge is, we're finally here to take him on. Let's see if we can beat him at our current level. So against Lieutenant Surge's Raichu, it has lower defense, so I'm simply going to go straight for double kick here. This appears to be a 3-hit KO. He did massive damage with his Mega Kick, but after 1 Meditate, we take him down. In 20 minutes, 57 seconds, we have gotten through another gym with really no issues. No additional resets in this section, and we're ready to move on to the Rock Tunnel. Of course, TMs are basically trash moves anyway, so we're not going to use Thunderbolt in this one. We're just going to sell it for money or something, but we do have to get 1 TM in order to progress, and that will be Seismic Toss. I'm not going to even wait. I'm going to put it on my moveset immediately because it's going to be really useful in some spots against any opponent that we don't have a decent, at least neutrally effective move against. That Seismic Toss can theoretically take them down within a few turns, especially because we're somewhat over leveled in the middle game. Now we will have to carry this move at least until we get through the Pokemon Tower, but we'll just have to see. It might end up being a useful move even late in this run. But now it's time to make our way to Celadon City, starting with the Wrapping Lass, where I'm simply going to meditate and then try to Mega Punch these Pokemon down. I'm not sure if the meditate is strictly required, but it certainly guarantees that we're going to one-shot those Pokemon. Still, our attack stat is high enough that I don't think we have to go ham on the meditates. We just have to use like 1, and then we should generally be able to sweep after that. That will change much later when we get to tougher opponents, but for now that will be the general strategy. And without really any issues, we've made it to the Rock Tunnel Hiker. I'm going to set up 1 meditate and then just go into double kick Doesn't look like we need it on the Geodudes, but I was worried about the Graveler. Still, it's an easy one-hit KO on all of those Pokemon after a single Meditate setup. And with that, we're basically through this section and ready to move on to Celadon City. So now in Celadon, I think our best play is actually to go into the Rocket Game Corner and take on these easier Rockets, because really, we should be able to do decent damage at our current level with our moveset as it is. Outside of the main boss trainers, we probably don't even really have to mess with setting up the Meditates in order to get through here. So now going into the basement, we can just take on Jessie and James. Let's see how they go. They're going to lead off, of course, with Coughing. I'm going to Meditate a couple times here because Coughing is pretty defensively bulky, and now Mega Punch should one-hit KO there. Against the Meowth, Double Kick is the play, and finally Ekans can take another Mega Punch, and it's an easy victory to get through. And with all that done, it's just time to take on Giovanni, and we have super effective moves here, so let's just see how this goes. I'm gonna still Meditate once, and then just Double Kick on his Onix, easy one-hitter. Rhyhorn's out next, it's another one-hitter, and we get to level 29 as the Persian comes out. It screeches, that doesn't matter. It's an easy victory to take out Giovanni. Giovanni 1's worst nightmare is actually a Hitmonlee. Doesn't matter if it has high special or not, you're simply going to crush him in that fight. But now I'm going to make my way back to Lavender rather than going to fight Erica, because I think we have an easier fight here. The rival doesn't really have any strong special moves at this point anyway, and he's really exploitable, as we're about to see. So here this Fearow has only one flying type move, which is Mirror Move. So it's never going to use any damaging move against us. So we can just set up all of our Meditates right here to guarantee that we will one-shot all of his Pokemon, and then just double kick this one to knock it out. Out next comes the Magnemite. It's an easy one-hitter. The Shelder, more of the same. Sandshrew can also get double kicked, and of course Eevee can get kicked. And just like that, we easily get through that fight. It was never in question. Now, however, is the reason that we had to have Seismic Toss. It's the only move that we can learn at this point in the game outside of Bide, which would be terrible, in order to hit ghosts. Let's see how it actually goes against this first Channeler, where we can see that Seismic Toss at this level will be a 2-hit KO. So as long as they do something like Nightshade, we should be perfectly fine because we are faster. We just don't want to get confused and hit ourselves in confusion, basically. Now I am going to pick up a lot of items in here because we may want to get Hyper Beam later on in the run. That might be our strategy, is Meditate into Hyper Beam. We'll just have to see how it actually works out. But with all the Channelers done, we had one reset there due to bad confusion luck, but really not too bad. We can come and now take on Ghost Marowak. I'm going to set up one Meditate and go into Double Kick. That will make this a 2-hit KO range. And just like that, we easily get through that fight, and it's time to take on Jessie and James. So this is the first time that they have their fully evolved Pokemon, so I'm going to make sure to set up more Meditates than usual, and then we'll double kick the Meowth down. Out comes Arbok. I'm going to Mega Punch it. It's a 1-hit KO. And then we have the Wheezing, not quite a one-hitter, but Seismic Toss will finish it off. And just like that, we have beaten Jessie and James and gotten to level 32, and we can save Mr. Fuji. And with that done, I think it is now time to go fight Erica herself, because Rival 5 is going to be tough. The whole reason I wanted a higher special stat was for Rival 5, but basically at this point we either have to go to Koga's gym where they're all using Psychic type moves, or we have to go fight Rival 5, who has a really diverse team including a really strong Kadabra, or we can fight Erica to get a little more experience, who's just going to use Grass type moves, and we should be able to get through with our Meditate setup. Let's see how this actually goes though. So Erica attempt number 1, I'm going to set up a bunch of Meditates here on this first Tangela. It gets a critical hit bind on us at the beginning, but of course a move like Constrict means nothing to us. It's just critting a lot, this Pokemon. But now I'm gonna just Mega Punch. It's not quite a one-hitter. Still, we do knock it out in 2 hits. Next, Weepinbell is a 1-hit KO. We level up and we get to learn Rolling Kick. I'm going to learn this over Double Kick because while it lacks accuracy, it has a chance to flinch. And now against the final Gloom, we miss the Mega Punch. And that does it for our first attempt. Still, I think we have the strategy here. We just need to set up the meditates and we should be able to get through. Next attempt, we are back to the Gloom. It's a one-hit KO, and just like that, 38 minutes and 7 seconds, but we have managed to beat Erica on minimum battles. We're up to 12 resets and 2 TMs, but really not doing too bad here. We haven't really had a ton of resets on anything since Rival 2, so honestly, we're doing pretty darn good. But now we do have to decide how to progress in the game. I think our best bet is to go to Rival number 5. The logic is pretty simple. He only has one Pokemon that has a super effective move against us, whereas we're going to be dealing with lots of super effective moves if we go down south to Koga's gym, and at least the first Sandslash doesn't have any super effective moves, so we should be able to set up some meditates. Let's see if it's enough though. So it's time for Rival 5 attempt number 1. Let's see how this goes. So first things first, against this Sandslash, we have nothing to do other than sit here and spam meditate. We really do want to see the move Poison Sting because that's going to be our best, most survivable situation. Once we get everything set up, Rolling Kick does not quite one-shot here, but we do get a flinch, so we get through that Pokemon. Next out is the Cloyster. Unfortunately, we had a Sand Attack, so we couldn't hit our Rolling Kick. Let's try this again. A couple attempts later, we do manage to make it to Magneton, but here we're to the Kadabra where Confusion simply ends us. So this is not looking like a possible fight at this point. So the only option is to go down to Fuchsia City and try to take on the trainers in Koga's gym. That will of course allow us to potentially gain another level or two, and then maybe at a slightly higher level it's possible to progress. We'll just have to see. Otherwise, we have to start thinking about burning rare candies in order to progress in this run. Now, while the trainers in the gym do have psychic type moves and they don't use smart AI, so theoretically we can set up a whole bunch of meditates and then go into the mega punches and get a one-hit sweep on these opponents. Kadabra is the only one that's guaranteed to outspeed us, and once we survive its confusion, we can actually get through that fight. So with that done, we have successfully made it to level 34, and at least in theory, the Venonats don't have great specials, so we might be able to survive against them. This is really going to come down to whether or not we can set up all the meditates and knock his Pokemon out. There is also a chance that Koga uses an X attack on any given turn. That might be what we need. Let's check this out. So Koga attempt number 1, I'm going to start by setting up Meditate. We take less than half damage from the first Venonat, though it did lower our special, so I think the next turn it will knock us out. Still, if we don't get that special drop, we should be able to survive 2 Psychics here from the first Venonat. Sure enough, we do, but at this point, with 2 Meditates, Mega Punch is not enough to knock out the Venonat. So we need a stronger move here is clearly the situation, and I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. Now, while it is not the best move by any means, it is thematically correct that we should learn the move Mega Kick. It is actually a level up move later on in the game, but I'm simply going to learn this move right now because it's significantly stronger than Mega Punch. And theoretically, if we can get the setup, we may just be able to sweep through with this move. But let's see, with Mega Kick, does it become possible to get through these Venonats? So back to Koga, I'm going to set up 2 of my Meditates yet again. And we obviously need not a critical hit, but let's see if after 2 Meditates we can actually one-shot a Venonat. And sure enough, it is enough to one-shot. We get to level 35. We one-shot the second Venonat and the third Venonat. And now I think what we would need technically is for him to use an X attack on the Venomoth. He doesn't use it this time, so we lose. But that is the strategy that could theoretically get us through this fight. Of course, he can also X attack, allowing us to get through with less damage. So this time we've made it to the Venomoth on full health, and Psychic barely is survived. He goes for an X attack and then we just miss all of the Mega Kicks. so we could not win. Still, that was our best chance, and it proves that it is theoretically possible to win here. So we land the first Mega Kick on the Venomoth as he used an X attack. He could theoretically use one more, which he does, and I used the wrong move. I should have used Seismic Toss. Oh, I misclicked. RIP. So after lots of attempts, it's pretty clear that this simply isn't going to go. So I'm going to use a few rare candies in order to get to another damage rounding threshold at level 38. We even get to learn Jump Kick at this level, so technically we have a stronger move. Let's see if this does anything for us. So here he X attacks on the Venomoth, and we just miss one-shotting this Pokemon with a Mega Kick. It was down to 7 HP, and he knocks us out. But we can see that we're getting a lot closer to getting through this fight. So I'm simply going to slam on the last 2 rare candies in my bag. That will make it, I think, so that we're not even 3-hit KO'd by Psychic from the Venonats. And that might give us an even better chance. And sure enough, it looks like we can survive 3 normal Psychics here. Of course, if we get a special drop, we can't, but that should at least in theory allow us to set up 3 Meditates at the start of the fight. And with 3 Meditates, we will be guaranteed to knock out that Venomoth if we get the chance to hit it. And here with 1 HP remaining, we do in fact knock out the Venomoth. It took an hour 19 to get through that, but with no broken TMs, we were able to beat Koga on minimum battles. That is a massive improvement from my previous run with Hitmonlee, where at level 40 we simply were not getting through. We couldn't beat Rival 5, and the only way to progress at this point was to go double team strats. No, here we are continuing without any broken moves, and now we have a badge boost in speed. So theoretically, we can use that to outspeed key opponents, things like the Rival's Kadabra, and we can go down and fight Koga now, where we might just be able to get through and get an extra badge boost in special as well. We'll also take this opportunity to get a couple more rare candies, which should help us as we progress here in managing our XP. Now, of course, we just wish we could Tombstoner so bad, the ultimate move to one-shot our opponents. But for now, let's get into this Blaine fight and just see if we can take him on with badge boosts in speed. So here against Blaney Boy, I'm going to lead off with a couple of Meditates to outspeed his Ninetales. Once we get that set up, I'm just going to Jump Kick this Pokemon. We did not get the one-hitter, but we do 2-hit KO there. We level up here against Rapidash, so now I'm going to Meditate again to try to outspeed, and unfortunately we couldn't land the Mega Kick on that one, but I think Mega Kick would have one-shot at that point. Let's try this again. Now, of course, Flamethrower will do a lot of damage. It's the reason why with a normal Hitmonlee, you would have to continue using the move Double Team throughout the rest of the run, because it just doesn't have any special. Here, fortunately, we do have enough special to be able to get through these. Of course, we don't want to get any critical hits, and we are going to need a little bit of luck with this Rapidash using a move like Growl on us so that we can get an additional badge boost. This time we are able to outspeed and one-shot the Rapidash. We have made it to Arcanine, and we missed the Mega Kick, and it flamethrowers us down. But no matter how we look at it, this seems like a spot where we just have to rare candy to get our badge boosts and be able to set them up at the start of the fight. If we can set up enough badge boosts at the start so that we outspeed everything, we should be able to sweep from there. We make it back to the Arcanine with this setup, and a single Mega Kick does not end it, but it is in Seismic Toss range, so we finish it and get to level 42, an hour 28-26 to get through Blaine, but again, no broken TMs to do so, and that gives us access to the badge boost in special, which is the one that we really needed in this one. So let's now see if we can take on Rival 5. He's the only available trainer on minimum battles. Hopefully we don't have to use another rare candy here. Of course, we will get one more at the top of Silphco, but I'd prefer to avoid it and just take this fight on with our current level intact. We just have to avoid a level up before that Kadabra, and if we can avoid that, then we should be good to go. So back to Rival 5. Let's see how this goes. Against the Sandslash, I'm once again going to meditate, and now let's jump kick this Pokemon. 2 meditates is not enough. We're going to need 3 meditates to knock that one out. So this is really just about avoiding Slash in the 3 turns that we're setting up. We get it that time. Now we can move on to Cloyster, which is a 1-hit KO. Magneton gets 1 shot. We avoid the level up before the Kadabra, and we miss the Mega Kick, and we get confused by its confusion, and then we miss a second Mega Kick. But clearly this is possible now. In fact, the biggest issue that we're having right now is our high critical hit chance. Because we have about a 16% chance to crit here, we keep critical hitting our opponents after we set up the meditate. In Gen 1, critical hits ignore all stat changes, which causes us to then not knock out the Sandslash. But this time we do Mega Kick the Kadabra, so it's a 1-hit KO. We get a level up. We will not learn Focus Energy since that move is broken, and instead we will try to jump kick against this Flareon. It's using Fire Spin on us, which kind of sucks. We've had 1 accuracy drop, so we are slightly more likely to miss here, and unfortunately we're just not going to be able to land the move. And what I've figured out is it's best at this level to just use 1 meditate on the Sandslash and then just go all in on attack. We can knock it out in 2 hits with any of our moves at that point. Cloyster's gonna be a 1-hitter. The Magneton isn't quite a 1-hitter if we only use 1 meditate, but we could try to meditate on that Magneton. Back to Flareon again. We once again miss as it goes for a Fire Spin, but then we land the jump kick and it's a 1-shot, so we managed to finally beat Rival 5 at level 43. So it certainly wasn't super consistent by any means, but it was possible to win that fight, and now we are prepped to move on in this run. So let's take our last fight against Jessie and James and then Giovanni and just see how they go. Of course, Jessie and James are going to lead off with their Wheezing. I'm just going to set up a couple of meditates and then Mega Kick that one down, Mega Kick on Arbok, and then we can just jump kick on the Meowth. Easy victory. And with that, it's just time to see how we do against Giovanni himself on this first attempt. Giovanni number 2 leads off with his Nidorino. I'm going to set up a couple of my meditates right here and then Mega Kick it. That is an easy 1-hitter. We jump kick on Persian. We're going to jump kick the Rhyhorn, and finally the Nidoqueen, take a Mega Kick. That's a 1-hit KO, and we easily get through that fight. So basically, once we get through Rival 5 and we get through Koga, Blaine isn't consistent by any means, but he is possible, and that leaves us in the situation where we can now progress in the game on minimum battles. Now, from Gen 3 onward, this Pokemon could learn Earthquake, but in Gen 1, it's not possible to learn that move. I really wish it was, because that would be our solution for Ghost types. We would simply learn Earthquake and have a really good way to progress in the game. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to stick with what we've got. But now it's time to go take on Sabrina. She is the only gym leader that we can fight at this point. We have to fight her, then Giovanni, and then there's just the Rival 6 and the Elite 4 left. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change my moveset for this fight. I'm going to learn the move Swift, and I'm going to learn it over Mega Kick, because we can relearn Mega Kick via TM at any point in time. I think this is the best way to go. The idea for this fight is basically this. We're going to set up all the meditates on the first Abra. We're going to let her flash us as much as she wants to, and then we're going to try to sweep with the Swift. Let's see if it works. So first things first, we're just going to go straight into the meditate spam, setting up all 6 meditates right here on the first Pokemon. Then we're just going to simply sit here till we get all the flashes from Sabrina as well. Once we get them, Swift is an easy 1-hitter. Swift on the Kadabra, another easy 1-hitter. And now out comes Alakazam. We go Swift, easy 1-hits. It's never in question with that strategy. We have such a high attack stat that we can just sweep her entire team. She can do nothing against that strategy. So an hour 38-13 to beat Sabrina. We're up to 123 resets. Obviously this isn't a consistent run by any means, but we are still progressing on minimum battles and still no broken TMs. Pretty darn cool if you ask me. And with that, there is nothing to do but to go to Giovanni's gym here in Viridian City, where I think we've got the solutions. We're basically going to probably want to relearn the move Mega Kick to use on the Nidos. For everything else, we could really just go Jump Kick and be just fine, I think. And we fortunately level up just before the fight, so we shouldn't be too worried about leveling up midway through. If we have everything set up and we level up just before the ride-on, it shouldn't actually matter because we should just be able to outspeed and Jump Kick at that point. So we will simply relearn Mega Kick over Swift so that we have our strongest normal type move, and let's just see how this goes. So Giovanni attempt number 1, I didn't even heal coming into this. He sand attacks me, but after a couple sand attacks, we are actually faster than the Doug trio. The problem is purely that we can't hit anything, so we're gonna have to try this one again with a proper heal on. So I think our ideal is like a guard spec turn 1 or maybe dig so that we have a couple turns to set up with our meditate. We want to get the badge boosts in defense as well as speed here. Here we do manage to knock out the Doug trio with 1 accuracy drop. The whole issue is just that Jump Kick is going to not be accurate enough after we take that accuracy drop. Here we do manage to hit Persian though. We're going Mega Kick on the Nidoqueen. We got a critical hit, so it just wasn't enough to knock it out. We need non-critical hits here. This time we managed to get through without any accuracy drops, and Nidoqueen is just barely not a one-hitter. We knock it out the next turn with Seismic Toss. Mega Kick does one-shot against the Nidoking. We level up right here, and Jump Kick just manages to knock out Rhydon, so we do in fact win an hour 42:57 to beat all 8 gyms. We added a few resets there, but really not too bad, and we are moving on to the league. Now, if I recall correctly, this is a faster time than we managed using Double Team with this Pokemon when it was running with its normal stat spread. So that special stat is having a really big impact as we go through this one. But now it's time to take on rival number 6. Let's see how he goes. So first things first here against Rival 6, I'm going to set up 1 Meditate and go into Jump Kick, and we got a critical hit there. That is not what we wanted to see. Still, we do manage to 2-hit KO there. Mega Kick misses on the Execute, and it would not be a 1-hit KO. So we're definitely going to need at least a couple of Meditates set up on that first Sandslash. With 3 Meditates set up, we're able to one-shot both of those Pokemon. We level up right here, and we get to learn High Jump Kick. I'm going to learn that over Jump Kick, of course. High Jump Kick is a 1-hit KO on Cloyster. It is a 1-hitter on the Magneton. We are outsped by the Kadabra by just a little bit. We needed 1 badge boost there in order to outspeed. Let's see if we can get a better range here. So here we learn High Jump Kick. I'm actually going to meditate once on the Cloyster. It goes for Clamp, but we get released. High Jump Kick one-shots. We one-shot against the Magneton, Mega Kick one-shots the Kadabra, and now High Jump Kick on the Flareon is a one-hitter with a crit, and we do manage to progress on minimum battles to the Elite Four. So we still have 2 rare candies in the bag. We're going to grab another rare candy in Victory Road and a rare candy in the Power Plant. That will give us 4 to use in this section. So those should be enough to allow us to manage our XP as we go through the Elite Four, specifically for the sake of using badge boost glitch here, because we're going to need lots of badge boosts. Now, I do think I have reasonable strategies for Lorelei and for Bruno. Agatha is the real question mark here. We don't have anything great to use against her ghosts outside of going for maybe Metronome or going for Mimic. Seismic Toss might not be enough at this point. Lance is also probably going to be a major wall in this one if I have to guess. And of course, the champion with his Alakazam and his Exeggutor is going to be pretty tough. But if we can manage to get through the rival's first 3 Pokemon and outspeed at that point with our badge boosts, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to one-shot everything going to the end of his team. So it's really just a question of whether we can get this to work on minimum battles without broken TMs, or at worst with the move Mimic, but definitely not Double Team. Let's see if we can get it to go. So here, as we prepare to enter the league, I have made sure to get access to Mimic, a couple of Mega Kick TMs, because we might just forget Mega Kick for another move. We have Metronome in the bag as well. We have Strength if we really wanted it. I think that's all we've got. We've got PP ups still in the bag if we need them, and we're just gonna see if it turns out to be enough to get through this section or not. Place your predictions down below. With that, let's get into Lorelei. We're gonna save between Elite Four members so we can't backtrack. We can't go get Double Team or something like that. Let's see how this goes. So Lorelei is up first. I'm going to use Seismic Toss on her once, because she should have a decent chance of using the move Rest on turn 2. Once she rests, I'm going to once again Seismic Toss her so that she rests hopefully again. That should allow me to mostly set up everything. Then we can just use a single high jump kick to knock it out. We one-shot the Cloyster as well. I'm going to Mega Kick on the Slowbro. We got a critical hit. That is not what we wanted to see. It has a 50-50 chance to use Psychic or Amnesia there. We'd really love to see Amnesia. That one just didn't quite work out. Next attempt, we are back to the Slowbro, and without a critical hit, that is a one-hit KO. Against the Jinx, we can basically go for the same Mega Kick to just one-shot it. We level up to level 50, but we're faster than Lapras, and High Jump Kick ends it very easily. So 2 attempts to get through Lorelei, really not bad. We can save the game right here. Let's go ahead and recover our HP, and now it's time to take on Bruno. So Bruno attempt number 1, I'm just going hard on the meditation right here. We don't really care what he does with this Onyx. He can rock slide us all he wants. Basically, I'm just trying to get +6, and then we're just gonna high jump kick the rest of the way. Even if we miss, we should be able to easily one-shot these Pokemon. Unless, of course, we miss and we get a critical high jump kick from his Hitmonlee. Let's try this again. Next attempt, we managed to one-shot the Hitmonlee with high jump kick. We miss here on the Onyx, but he X defense, so we easily knock it out. And Machamp, we get a critical hit, and it's not quite in Seismic Toss range, so we just knock it out on the next turn. So 1 reset on each of the Elite Four members so far, and now we've made it to Agatha. This is the one that I'm really worried about. We know Seismic Toss, so I'm going to try that first. I'm going to see if I can knock out the ghosts with that move. If that doesn't work, then we're going to maybe try Metronome and maybe try Mimic to get through. I think Mimic strats will actually be the most consistent here, but I'm going to try to avoid using broken TMs here. Let's see if we can get it to go. So we are still going to want to Mega Kick against Golbat and Arbok, so I'm still going to set up the Meditates, also hoping to outspeed. Now, once we get paralyzed, the dream of outspeeding is gone, and of course, the Meditates mean we're going to do a lot of damage to ourselves here. So let's try this again. Now, what we can see is that this Gengar will be a 3-hit KO with Seismic Toss. So we do manage to knock out the first Gengar. Out comes Golbat. We miss the Mega Kick. We hit the next one, but I don't think we're going to win now with so little HP, unless she just uses like all the wrong moves, which is not going to happen. Next attempt, we get back to Haunter on slightly higher health. This is still going to be a 3-hit KO with Seismic Toss, and she's Super Potioning. She swaps to Arbok, so I'm going to take this chance to Mega Kick it. We get a nice one-hitter, and now we can knock out that Haunter. We are to the final Gengar. This one is also going to be a 3-hitter. Of course, it does no Psychic. We're hoping not to get hit by that move. Instead, we get put to sleep and we're dead. So I do think this is a fight where we should use a rare candy. We are leveling up midway through, which causes us to lose our badge boosts at the start of the fight. By setting up one rare candy, I think we can get to the end of the fight without the level up and with our badge boosts intact. And sure enough, with the badge boosts on, we are still faster than the final Gengar. It goes for Dream Eater while we're awake, it misses Hypnosis, and just like that, we finally managed to beat Agatha. It took a lot of attempts, but we leveled up to level 53 at the end of that fight, and we are on to Lance. And here against Lance, of course, mimic strats could be a thing. We could mimic a move like Ice Beam and get a bunch of badge boosts in order to make it work. I'm going to try to go in with my moveset as it is though. Let's see if we can find a way through the Dragon Trainer. So first things first, we got to take on this Gyarados. We're already faster than this Pokemon, and I'm setting up a bunch of Meditates because I expect that it's going to do a lot of damage to me. Let's try this again though, because we have to see what the range of Mega Kick is on this Pokemon. So first things first, without any setup, let's just see what Mega Kick does. It did 77 damage. So I'm pretty sure with a couple of Meditates, we will be able to one-shot this Pokemon. We survive against the Hydro Pump, something that a normal Hitmonlee can't do. We missed the Mega Kick after that, but I do think we have a strategy here. We're going to go 2 Meditates in the Mega Kick. So we actually need 3 Meditates here. Still, we can actually knock out the Gyarados. I'm going to high jump kick here on the Dragonair, high jump the second Dragonair, and we are slower than Aerodactyl. So we're going to have to use at least a couple more badge boosts in order to outspeed this Pokemon. So I think our ideal is actually to do like 4 Meditates here at the start of the fight. We're just hoping that he uses like Leer against us. Dragon Rage, I guess, really isn't the end of the world. There, we can just Mega Kick. We missed the high jump kick on the Dragonair though, and that's going to end that run. So this time we do have the setup. We will outspeed against the Aerodactyl. So we're just going to high jump kick here, and then Aerodactyl will high jump kick since it's neutrally effective. We level up right before the Dragonite. I'm going to Mega Kick. We missed the Mega Kick, so we didn't even get to see the range, and it hyper beamed us down. Still, I do think this fight is possible, so we're going to keep grinding it out. Now, that being said, we do have some rare candies in the bag, and we could use a couple of them right here to get to another damage rounding threshold and be at a slightly higher level. I think it's worth it. I think I'm going to go for 2 right here, and then we'll slam on the last one before we get to the champion. This time we just get a bunch of Leers from the Gyarados, so we're able to knock it out pretty darn easily, and we're definitely outspeeding everything from here, so we'll just one-shot Aerodactyl. We've made it to Dragonite. Mega Kick almost gets it, but it goes Thunder, so we survive. Seismic Toss will end it, and just like that, we get to level 56 as we defeat Lance. So with that, we have made it all the way to the champion on minimum battles, no broken TMs, and we have a chance to finish this one once and for all. We have 1 rare candy in the bag. I'm just going to slap it on right here to avoid a level up in the middle of the fight if at all possible. Let's just see if we can get the win. So champion time, we are going to start off with some Meditates here against the Sandslash. Of course, we don't like Earthquake. We really want Poison Sting here, or Fury Swipes is, I guess, okay as long as it's not a crit and it's a short one. Slash, on the other hand, is really what we don't want to see. Let's see with 2 Meditates set up. We do not manage to one-shot here against this Sandslash. So we're gonna need at least 3 meditates set up in order to get through that Pokemon. This time he just uses Fury Swipes 3 times in a row so we can high jump kick in one shot. We are faster than the Alakazam and we one-hit KO it. Against Exeggutor, Mega Kick also gets the one-hitter. High jump kick on Magneton. We're gonna high jump kick on the Cloyster. It goes down. We've made it to the final Flareon and a single high jump kick ends it. And with that, in a final time of 2 hours and 12 minutes and 6 seconds, a Hitmonlee with its Gen 2 special defense stat as its special in Gen 1 beats the entire game on minimum battles. No broken TMs, no double team strats, no substitute strats, no mimic strats, and it finishes with a faster time than the double team Hitmonlee that we used in the previous run. So if they had simply given this Pokemon an actual special defense basically in Gen 1, it wouldn't have been a world beater. It still was really meh. 160 resets and 3 TMs to get through that. But keep in mind, we're running on minimum battles here. We're intentionally keeping this super hard on ourselves. But even then, it's a massive improvement. We went from being in the C tier to being in an A tier finish with this setup. So is it consistent? No. Is it a heck of a lot of fun? Yes. So with that, there's nothing to do but to put Gen 2 Lee into the Hall of Fame. And I think we need to test this Pokemon out just a little bit more. Yet again, I'm wondering, can we beat Professor Oak with this Pokemon? Clearly against Mewtwo, we'd just be hoping not to get hit with Psychic, and I think we'd be good to go. But against Professor Oak with his higher level team, we might just fail. Let's see. So here we come against Professor Oak. I'm going to set up my Meditates here, and Takedown just did massive damage. Here, of course, High Jump Kick can knock that Pokemon out. He has Exeggutor next. It's going to be a 2-hit KO. Arcanine comes out. We're going to Mega Kick this Pokemon and High Jump Kick it down. Charizard comes out. High Jump Kick, even resisted, did like half damage to a level 69 Charizard. So let's try this one again. This time we managed to set up 4 Meditates at the start of the fight. So we should be a lot better here, but we did end up getting a level right there, which caused us to be outsped by the Arcanine. Here, 1 Meditate against Arcanine will allow us to outspeed it though, so I'm going to High Jump Kick it down. Against the Charizard, Mega Kick does the job. Gyarados can get more of the same, except we missed and we get Hyper Beamed. Still, I think on minimum battles, this is a winnable fight. Back to the Gyarados, the next attempt, Mega Kick one-shots it, and just like that, Professor Oak never had a chance. We managed to beat him. It took a few resets, 10 resets in fact, to beat him, but we have completed the entire game on minimum battles. So Gen 2 Lee is a legend. You tell me what you think. Should this Pokemon have gotten a better special stat in Gen 1? It might even be almost usable in that case. But with that being done, thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate ya. We'll see you in the next video. Later.